So I'm just testing there with Jonathan. I do see it streaming right now, but I just wanted to check the little chat before I get going too far into it. So maybe you could send me a chat, Jonathan, and I could see if I could see it, or if anybody's on there early. It'd be helpful if they sent a chat just so that I could respond. Today I'm going to be talking about what I learned from the conference at the American Correctional Association, but I wanted to just see if this chat is working. So are you able to see it, Jonathan?
Yeah, I just sent you from
Oh, I
YouTube.
do see it. Hi from YouTube. Okay, great. Maybe you could tell the audience how they leave a message on YouTube.
Well, when they go to your page here, let me send you the link, for example, on WhatsApp
I can go to
here.
my YouTube page.
Yeah, you can if you want. So just go to your page. It should be the first video is saying live on your channel. Right there too, you see? It's showing right there on the
Is this it? Oh yeah, there it is right there. So if I click that,
your page, it should be the first and then video on the right side there's a
live
chat on your
okay, I
channel.
got it.
Right
I
there
gotta
too.
close off because I'm getting an echo. So it's pretty
Okay, yeah.
simple. If they join through any of our platforms, they're able to leave some. So okay, so I see Justin's on there right now. So Justin, I'm going to be responding to any questions that come through on the text, and it would be, so I don't know. Probably we should probably coordinate a way that we could do this together as a team. But for now, it's kind of cool because I could go into what I'm going to share with them today, some information on this. Like if I share my screen, I could share my screen right there, and I'm going to be going over the journals and what I learned while being away at that conference, because I'm a little bit behind in doing these videos. When I was away, I didn't have good internet connectivity, and I didn't have my trusty team to help us through this. But what I'd like to do today is to start catching up. I've had a very busy day of follow-ups since I was gone. I'm waiting for 3 o'clock to start. So I think it is 3 o'clock, and I don't see a lot of people on here, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about what I learned. And I hope that other people will see it. Hi, Catherine Graff. Thanks so much for joining. You can see I can kind of turn around. So I've got this massive monitor in my computer right now. So I've got one screen open where I hope I'm looking right at you at the camera. I've got another screen open where I'm looking and can see anybody that leaves a text. So I just saw Catherine Graff's hello, Michael, and I saw Justin, and I saw Jonathan. I don't know if anybody else is on, so I'm just going to go ahead and start because we said we would start at 3 o'clock. Hey, Mary Lou Vache, that's awesome. I get to see her. She was very instrumental. We worked together with Justin when I first came out of prison, and that's really what I want to be talking about, because a lot of people going into this system who are justice impacted are really understandably just focused on what's happening today. But the reality is this is a crisis when somebody's going through the system, and every individual should be thinking about, how am I going to sow seeds for the future, and what steps can I take? Hello, Joseph DiGregorio. What steps can I take to put myself on a position for a more effective future? And we got this idea of launching Prison Professor's Talent. Hello, Donald Carper. Through our work of visiting prisons, such as the one where Donald Carper's son is serving a sentence right now. I see Steve Bigelow. Hello, guys. I'm cool. It's kind of cool that we're just learning how to use this new platform. I'm sorry that I didn't learn it before. It's not quite as interactive as a webinar, but it does allow us, I hope, to help members of our community understand the importance of sowing seeds for the future. And Justin is coordinating a webinar on, hello, Brett Bartlett, a webinar for Thursday, which I will give a more detailed explanation of what we're doing and what I learned from this journey. But I can't emphasize enough how important it is for people who are going through this crisis of a problem with the judicial system to think far longer than just the sentencing date. Because nobody can really change the past, but all of us can start working today, sowing seeds for the future we want to build. All of us can start today figuring out, how do we want the world to see us, And when I see a name like Mary Lou Vacher, I just want to give some credit there to how that kind of started. It's really what we're talking about today. You see, I started my prison journey many decades ago, and when I met Justin in prison, together we started talking about how are we going to change the system in a way that will influence tens of thousands of people. A lot of people, understandably, when they're at the start of this sentence, the only thing we're thinking about is how can I get out of prison earlier, or what can I do to change my life? And hello, Melinda, thanks for joining. That's understandable. We hire a defense attorney. Sometimes the defense attorney will tell us not to listen to anybody else, but it's not the defense attorney who's going to serve the time. It's the individual. And, once the judge says, I hereby sentence you to the custody of the attorney general. Hi, Dewan. Once somebody says, I hereby sentence you to the custody of the attorney general, then at that point, it's really up to the individual to develop a solid self-advocacy strategy. And the reason we were able to connect with Mary Lou Vacher is because of the work that Justin and I were doing much later, 20 plus years after I'd come into prison. And because of her leadership as a leader of the Orange County School District, we were able to go into have an influence on the lives of hundreds of young people that were in a juvenile, not really a facility, but a military or a quasi-military program that hopefully diverted them from the criminal justice system. Well, our entire message is not really about us, it's about you. If you're going into this system or you have a loved one in this system, it's super important to be thinking about what steps you can take to influence the people you are going to meet in the future. And if you follow this pattern that I'm going to share with you on Prison Professor's Talent, you are going to be in a significantly more effective position in the weeks, months, years, and decades ahead than you are right now. And that's why, on this platform here, and I've made it kind of large so it's easy to see. You'll notice that anybody can build what would you call it? A profile here on this website. I simply use my profile as an example, but I would really like to see everybody have their own profile on this platform, because we could use it both in a micro strategy and a macro strategy. A micro strategy, I would say, is something like what I'm going to show you right here. If I look at, and she's on the website right now, look at Melinda Bixler, her profile. She hasn't even surrendered to prison yet, but what she is doing is showing why is she different? How is her story different today from what it was at the day of sentencing? So she's taken the time to write her biography, and that biography is going to be iterative. It is going to change as she spends time in there, because she's going to spend her time building what I would call a tribe of people. And she's becoming an ambassador of saying, learn how to change your own life. Look at all of the journal entries that she has published. She hasn't even surrendered yet, but she is demonstrating, I've started working today for the success that I want to become in the future. That's what effective self-advocacy looks like. It's not just talking about wanting to get out of prison early. It's about saying, what am I doing to make my life different? Look at, she's already written her first book report, which is on earning freedom. And this is not at all any type of self-publicity or self-aggrandizement. It's showing a pattern. How do you define excellence in preparing for success upon release? She's documenting her release plan, and notice that it says 1, right? There are going to be many more of Melinda's reports, because she is going to use this as a kind of a validation that's going to say, don't judge me for the decisions I made that put me in prison for 18 months, but rather, how did I respond? And to the extent somebody is doing that early, that person is going to be building a pathway of self-advocacy. And it's the same thing that I did when I was going through my journey. I got inspired by listening to a story from Frederick Douglass that completely changed my viewpoint. Like anybody else, when I got arrested, the only thing I thought about was, how am I going to get out of prison? But if I leave my focus on that subject, I'm going to make decisions that may not get the result that I want. And the result that I want is to influence people to see me not for what I did at the worst time of my life, but how I responded. And to the extent we create a plan for that response, I have learned we can become better. We can grow. And in today's journal, I wrote about that. In fact, in the last few days' journals, I've been writing about that. And so that's why I'll say, hey, I'm going to just take the time. I'll do a live YouTube video. Anybody could ask me any question, of course. Just type it in the chat and I will see it. But the first thing I want to do is I want to share these journal entries from the last couple of days. Particularly, I'll share this journal entry from August the 11th. And August the 11th was a big day for me because that was the anniversary of the day that I got arrested in 1987. So 36 years before, I was getting arrested. And I was being charged with a crime that exposed me to the possibility of life in prison. But because of those decisions that I made while I was incarcerated and those very same things that I'm telling you to do, you could see where I was 36 years later, standing next to the director of the Bureau of Prisons and the deputy director. That's Director Colette Peters, and that's the deputy director, William Lothrop. And what we were discussing during this meeting was the idea of incentivizing excellence and the importance of helping people in prison prepare for success upon release. That's how we get the outcomes that we want. If we want to have lower recidivism rates and stop intergenerational cycles of poverty, well, we have to build a pathway that will lead us there. And I'm so grateful that we are collaborating with the Bureau of Prisons and we're able to provide programs inside of the prison system that result in people earning milestone. Well, in federal prison, it's not milestone credit. It's time credits. How did all of that happen, right? I mean, some people, I can assure you, when I began serving this sentence, nobody believed that there would ever be a program that would incentivize a pursuit of excellence. But today, we've got, you'll see this guy that served a quarter century in prison interacting and advocating for these new concepts. And what was super cool about it is I've got this this other really influential person who is the regional director for the North Central region of the Bureau of Prisons, Andy Matavusian, who is really helping us give this message. And during Friday, after speaking with Andy, and then he introduced me to the director and the deputy director, we went together to see this guy right here, Sugar Ray Leonard, who was giving the keynote address, and I got to listen to him sitting alongside these other directors of the Bureau of Prisons. And what was Sugar Ray saying? Well, he was telling people that our past does not have to define our future unless we want it to. So if we don't do anything about our future, then it is going to be what the government says about us or what other people say about us. But if we recognize that the responsibility is ours to prepare for success or prepare to self-advocate, so maybe we could make an argument to make us an earlier candidate for home confinement or a halfway house, well, then we've got to follow the guidance that a champion gave us, Sugar Ray Leonard. And so I wrote about that in this journal because he used an acronym called POWER, where we've got to prepare, we've got to overcome, we've got to win every round. And he had his nice graphic up on the big screen, so I wanted to take a snapshot of it because the message that he is giving to a group of very cynical people, okay, he is giving a message to very cynical people saying our past isn't our future. And yet he got them standing up because he was telling them, how this concept applied to his life when he had to fight the greatest fighters of all time. And you could read today's blog if you want to, but I just found him to be so inspirational because he of course influenced all of these staff members. And these are all directors of people from not only the Bureau of Prisons, but every state prison system in the nation. And I want you to be thinking about how do those lessons of Sugar Ray Leonard apply to you? In what way are you making decisions today that's going to influence your future? In what way are you sowing seeds for the success you want to become tomorrow? Whether it's getting a lower sentence or whether it is making sure that you're ready to recalibrate and come back to society strong, with your dignity intact, and with opportunities to prosper. And so now I'll share you the second daily blog that I wrote while I was there. And this one was on August the 12th, Saturday, which was another important day in my journey, because it was describing the day that I finished my obligation to the Bureau of Prisons. And that was 10 years ago on this Saturday, August the 12th. And I always remember my time in the halfway house, where I had to interact with case managers who were not always, just not the most encouraging people. At least that's what I experienced. Now, I know the system has changed a lot since then, but back then there was a very aggressive meeting that would say you're still in custody while you're in the halfway house or while you're on home confinement. And I could send you back to prison for the most trivial of things. But if the person is preparing well, or as Sugar Ray Leonard said, putting in the road work, well, that person becomes stronger. And this website that I'm creating, I'm hoping that each of you are using so that you become stronger, so that you in the future can advocate for yourself in ways that will have an influence on what you become. And so when I was flying home yesterday, I had to write a journal entry for yesterday, because I was getting behind. I left the hotel. We left the hotel about, I guess it was around 5 o'clock Eastern time, so about 2 o'clock Pacific time. But while I was on the plane, I worked the entire time on the plane, and I knocked out this journal entry that really responded to a question that my wife asked me. And what her question was, is she said, what would have to happen for you to consider this trip a success? And, that's a valid question from my wife, because we're a small company. We're people that did 26 years in prison. And I said, well, I have to kind of tally an approximation of the costs of what did it cost to attend a conference like this. And you see, it's like $1,600 for the tickets. It's airfares, $1,500 for 2 people to get to Philadelphia. It's the hotel cost. It's roughly $900+. Meals on Thursday, and it was a terrible day of travel on Thursday because our flight got delayed, so we were stuck in airports. So just Carol and I, but just the meals alone in airports, it's $50 for a single meal in those airports. So it's $100 in meals on Friday. On Friday, we took the regional director and treated him to dinner. On Saturday, we treated our friend Adam Clausen to dinner, who was a man who served, we feature him on the front page of the website, and he was serving a life sentence, and now he's home. On Sunday, again, back in airports on the way home. And then there's a parking fee at Orange County. That's $200. So the whole trip cost us $5,000, which is quite a bit of money. So how do I measure whether I'm getting value out of investing $5,000 to go to a conference for the American Corrections Association? Well, if you scroll down a little farther, you see, I have to invest if I truly want to change the system. But had I not gone to that meeting, I would not have had an opportunity to advance conversations with advocacy with all of these people. So that's Colette Peters, the director of the BOP. That's Director Lothrop. That's the reentry director, Kevin Pistro. That's this director, Christy. I'm advocating with all of these people, right? Because that's what it takes to change policies and change laws. And hi, Brooke Grains. That's what it takes to change policies and laws. We've got to have the ability to not only see where we are today, but let's see the future, right? Many of you know that story of the famous guy, what's his name? Forgot his name, but the guy who cracked the 4-minute mile, right? Nobody believed it could be possible to run a 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister. It's a famous story. So Roger Bannister, for years, people said it was humanly impossible to cross a 4-minute mile. Then Roger Bannister broke it. And after he broke it, a lot of people started breaking that 4-minute mile. And that's just a simple metaphor, right? There was a time when I served 26 years in prison that people thought it would be incomprehensible to have something like earned time credits that could lead to people earning 10 or 15 days of time off their sentence just for participating in programs. And as an advocate, I can absolutely tell you that when I go into prisons or when I'm in conferences like I was in last week, I'll face a lot of resistance from people who will say, why should we incentivize or reward people who are doing what they're supposed to be doing? I've had interactions in other conferences where I've heard about judges say, well, if the earned time credit is going to give them time off their sentence, I'll just increase their sentence length. You see, it's a heavy, heavy lift to be an advocate. And I need you to be an advocate for yourself. If you want to be an advocate for yourself, I will work 10 times harder by building communities. And thanks to my partners, Justin and Scott and all the other people that are part of our community, Joseph and Dewan and others, we're going to show you what we will do. But what are you going to do? In what ways are you going to be able to differentiate yourself from whatever existed at the time of sentencing? I want you, and this is our nonprofit doing this, I want you to help yourself by memorializing your preparations for success. Don Carper's son is an excellent example of that. He's not even doing it through our program, although I would encourage Don to allow us to build a profile for him so that I could use it in this capacity here. So like when I'm showing a profile like this to directors, I need to be able to take them to this website and show them data that say, look at tens of thousands of people. In fact, I'll share it with you right here. Go back to sharing my screen. I need to be able to take them to the homepage of the website and show how we're working to change the culture of the Bureau of Prisons. I need to be able to show them what does it mean to create an effective release plan. I need to be able to show them what does it mean to build collaborations with world-class employers who will hire formerly incarcerated people. I need to persuade them that it's in every American citizen's best interest to advocate for resilience and for showing people how to make plans, how to set priorities, how to create tools, how to develop tactics, resources, measure progress, and execute the plan. Just like my friend Halim Flowers did, who was once serving a multiple life sentence, or Adam Clausen, the guy that I said I had dinner with the other night, who was once serving 213 years in prison, but now he's home, okay? Or Tommy Walker, who was once serving a triple life sentence. Now he is home. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But even if you're like Mr. Carper, who's asking, how do I build a profile? I'm going to get to that in a second, right? If you're profiling it here, I get to use this as a tool and show how are we working in a collaborative effort to make good neighbors, not good inmates. And so we talk about like building a tribe and really influencing the entire Bureau of Prisons and building a team of 1,000 people who are really transforming their life while they're inside. We're showing the number of people that we're profiling on our website. Right now we have 211. It's my goal to get this to 1,000 by the end of the year, and then 10,000 in 2024, because that will give us the ammunition we need to persuade administrators and legislators that we're truly changing lives. And we're showing how we're donating our own money, to do this as well by building these profiles for people. And I'll show how many books are we donating to people in prison and institutions. How much money are we spending to match what the government has done. So far, we've given them nearly $6,000 worth of books away to indigent people and more than $53,000 in books away to institutions, matching orders that they have placed. And this is all part of our plan to become stronger. So for those of you who were asking, how do I become, build my profile on there, Mr. Carper, it's super simple. Just all you got to do is send an email invite to, and I don't know how to drop this into a chat or something like that, but if somebody could do it, maybe I could do it in this chat. Maybe I can. To join, yeah, I think I can. To join Prison Professors Talent, simply send an email to the following address. So I'm dropping this into the chat. It's interns@prisonprofessorstalent.com. That's it. Send the if you can't see, I hope you can see that. If you can see it, please text me on the chat and let me know if you see it. Because that's all you got to do. Send an invite and say, I want to start a profile on Prison Professors Talent. And if you do that, what I do is I go out to universities. I'm going to Berkeley, as a matter of fact, on August the 30th to make a presentation. If you live in the San Francisco Bay Area and you want to see the impact we're having, go to Berkeley. I'm going to hire a videographer to profile it. Thanks, Steve, for confirming that you can see it. But I'm going to hire a videographer. And what we do is I go into a great university like Berkeley, and I'll tell the students who are typically, motivated for action and activity and activism, help them understand how we are working to be the change we want to see, and invite them to intern with us so that they can help us, document the number of people or raise more resources, because we need to raise a lot more resources. We're just a small company, but Justin and I have donated, since we started this in 2020, more than $500,000 to our nonprofit to further the mission of our nonprofit. And we've raised another $500,000. So we're deeply committed. This is like a ministry for Justin and I. We're deeply committed to wanting to change this system because we've seen what happens, right? We've seen it with the First Step Act. We've seen it by evidence of me going to these conferences and interacting with the highest level leaders in the Bureau of Prisons. But I can't do it by myself. So on a micro level, we built this site to help people memorialize their story and why they are a worthy candidate, just like Melinda is doing. On a macro level, we're building this platform so that we could influence other citizens, so that we could influence administrators, so that we can influence employers, and ultimately we can influence legislators and policymakers that will co-sign, I guess, our main goals, which is to introduce a work release program in federal prison, introduce the acceleration of furloughs in prison, introduce the expanded use of earned time credits for everybody in prison, and ultimately to reinstate something like the United States Parole Commission so that another body can assess you, right? A judge is only going to know you for whatever the prosecutor said about you or whatever the government said about you. What we know is that you're a lot more than that. We know that you are worthy of more, and we have to build a pathway that will help other people see it. So that's what we're doing. I don't see a lot of questions on our live stream. I have no idea how many people are here. I know it was short notice. We'll try and give more of these. If you have any questions, this would be the time to ask. But I promise you we'll do another one. I know that Justin has activated a what do you call it? A school, our community, a webinar. And if you want to participate on that webinar, I'm going to drop that into the chat for you as well. I'm going to drop that link in there into the chat so you can sign up. So here is the sign up link right here. Let me see. I'm managing a lot of things right now, but I'm doing the best that I can. Or did I just get booted on my live stream because it's too long? Well, if I did, I will drop it in the chat or drop it somewhere so that you can see what we're doing and participate in our program and participate in either the webinar or participate in the webinar or in the just in our school community. Here is the link to our school community right there, which I just dropped in the chat. It may be too late. But we'll put it on our social so those of you who want to participate can follow. My name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors, and I just want you to know I believe in you. And thanks for being a part of our community.